Being a well-rounded leader is a natural pursuit. I mean, I spent all of high school hearing about how colleges didn't just care about the SATs anymore. They wanted to know how you were involved in your community and your extracurricular activities. They wanted to see that you were well-rounded. Well, today we're going to talk about how striving to be a well-rounded leader is actually hurting your team. Let's dive in. Hey there, welcome back to the Culture Keepers podcast. It's me, Kara List, your leadership coach, and here we are empowering you as leaders to have confidence as you lead your teams to be happy and high performing. You know, no one gives you a playbook when you step into leadership, and so my hope here is that when you come and you listen to these podcasts, that you can feel fueled to go back with actionable ways to serve your team and feel confident as a leader. To help you do that, I have this ultimate resource list that I am so excited to share with you. It is a list of my top 5 books, top 5 podcast episodes from some of my favorite leadership podcasters, some articles, basically the ultimate resource list for leaders that I wish I had had from the beginning, things I've collected over time, and I can't wait to share it with you. So if you want this free ultimate resource list, go ahead and grab the link in the show notes. So I am a big foodie. I love restaurants that serve like really specific cuisine. I love to cook. I just love unique foods. My husband isn't so much of a risk taker when it comes to food. He appeases and goes with me to try new things, but I just love it. I love going to a new restaurant and seeing what it is that they prepare really well. And you can always tell what restaurants those are because their menu is so small, right? It might be that they do a 5-course meal and they have already predetermined exactly what is in each course, or they just have 5 entrees. It's small because what they have done is they have zeroed in on what they do really well, and that is what they provide, what they serve, and I love it. So then you flip it and you think about the other restaurants, like the Cheesecake Factories of the world, and I am not knocking the Cheesecake Factory. Cheesecake is one of my favorite food groups. I love it. But when you go to the Cheesecake Factory, I mean, that's going to take me a solid 20 minutes just to read the menu, let alone pick what I want. And even as I'm looking, I'm like, okay, do I want the dumplings or do I want the pizza or do I want the steak or do I want the tacos, right? I've looked at now like 4 different ethnic cuisines, and I'm not quite sure because I don't know if they'll do it justice. How can they when they're trying to do it all? Do you see what I'm getting at? Maybe as leaders, we should remove the burden and stop trying to be good at everything or grow at all the things that we're not great at or present a false narrative that we've got it all together and really focus on our strengths. Go from well-rounded leadership to strengths-based leadership. So why? Why should you stop striving to be well-rounded? Like I said earlier, it's natural. It sounds like a noble endeavor. So why, as a leader, should you stop striving to be well-rounded? Well, first, it's a misallocation of your time and your gifts. It takes a lot of time and energy and focus to get good at something, especially something that is new, especially something that you have a deficit in, right? Something that might even be a frustration or a weakness. And in all the time you spend trying to build that skill, you're taking away from your natural contribution, from the things that you actually contribute well. It's stealing time from what you give and putting it into something that isn't really showing much yet, right? In terms of how it serves your team, or even how it serves yourself. As I said before, I love cooking. I really enjoy it, and I've gotten good at it. And it's a way that I love to enjoy a hobby, but I also love that I can provide for my family. It's a way that I serve my family, and I love that. So if I had decided that a better way to serve my family, or a way I would like to serve my family in addition, would be to get really good at like home repairs, like to get out some tools and fix the things whatever things pop up, all the things that need to be fixed. I could do that. There's no reason why I couldn't start or try or get better at it. But if I had decided that this was my mission, that I was going to be like the mom who does it all, and I'm going to make the meals and I'm going to fix all the things, well, the time, right, that is supposed to be spent cooking, because that's what I do really well, is now shared trying to repair things, which I guarantee wouldn't be awesome. So instead, what should I do? I depend on other people for those things, whether it is my very handy husband or very skilled professionals that we can hire to come in and do home repairs. So it's not that it's a bad idea or a empty effort for me to try to improve my handy skills. But if I were to really focus my energy towards that, it would be a misallocation of my time and my gifts, and my family would starve. The second reason why you should stop striving to be a well-rounded leader is because it puts your energy and focus into yourself instead of your team. And as we know, leadership is about others. I heard this great quote, and it said, well-rounded teams are way stronger than well-rounded leaders. And we can imagine why that is true. If I were, as a leader, to see my team and their strengths and not be providing the opportunities for them to use them, it would be a pretty frustrating place to work. Not only would I be robbing them of opportunities, but our work would really struggle. It wouldn't be productive. We wouldn't be highly performing as a team because we aren't even activating the strengths that we have, all in the name of me, the leader, becoming more well-rounded. And an honest moment, I think subconsciously, a lot of us, and I'm saying subconsciously, like the idea of being the well-rounded leader because we want to be respected. We want people to think we're awesome. We want the praise and the attention for being able to do all the things. We might even feel a subconscious pressure to be able to do all the things. People might look at us, we think people will look at us and fault us for not being able to do all the things. But instead, we should empower our team's strengths and not withhold opportunities because of how we want to feel or how we want to be viewed. The third reason we should stop striving to be a well-rounded leader is because when we do that, we don't acknowledge that we have weaknesses. In case you didn't know, everybody has weaknesses. Everyone has frustrations. You are not the only one who has working and leadership frustrations and weaknesses. And that's okay. Do you know there's psychological safety for your team when they know that you have weaknesses because you've told them. You have said, these are my frustrations and these are my weaknesses. And this is one of the many reasons I'm so thankful that you are on the team. And there is safety there because suddenly they can acknowledge that they have weaknesses. It's kind of the same principle of like if you never take a day off, then your people feel like they can't take a day off. There's like a guilt associated with it. You are modeling as a leader, as a manager for your people in all the ways. And so by acknowledging your weaknesses, then you give safety and space for your team to acknowledge their weaknesses. And it just makes you a real person. And real people are relatable. We all have had those moments where we see the Pinterest thing, we see the Instagram thing, we see this image, this false reality that people have created, and we tend to believe it, even though we know that it's just an image, but we convince ourselves that it is real. And when we convince others that we are ultimately well-rounded and have no weaknesses or working frustrations, then they can no longer connect to us. We just don't feel real. We don't feel approachable. And connectivity, communication, those elements of a healthy workplace culture are dependent on you as a manager being someone that is relatable and someone that is approachable. And I understand that you may not consciously be thinking of all of those things, but they are true because perception is reality, right? So our pursuit, our striving for well-roundedness might be completely well-intentioned, but this is how it can hurt our team. So, Kara, Are we just never supposed to get better at anything? Are we just supposed to accept the things that we're good at, the things that we're not, let it be that? Isn't that a fixed mindset? This contradicts everything you've already said. Okay. I hear you. The answer is no. It's not that you're not supposed to grow. It's how you order it. It's how you prioritize it. It's ordering your growth and your team's success rightly. So if I want to suddenly be a home repair person in my home, that's fine. But I should not prioritize that over what I'm already doing to serve my family. It's not about not doing it. It's about the allocation of time. It's about the priority. So prioritizing your team's strengths and your team's success. And you're included in that. That's your whole entire team. So why well-rounded teams are better than well-rounded leaders. So sure, continue to grow always. Professional development, personal growth. So many books, resources, podcasts. Go grab that list I have for you in the show notes that you can use to grow. But don't let your personal growth be prioritized over your team's success. Along with being a leadership coach, I am certified to teach the 6 Working Geniuses, Pat Lencioni's model. And I just love it so much. And that model would actually argue that your working frustrations, the things that naturally drain you of energy, the things that are just like a cup with a hole in it and you pour that coffee in it and it just goes right at the bottom, that you shouldn't actually spend time trying to get better at those things. It would be like asking an introvert to get energy from being in a room full of people. It's just not going to happen. It's not how they are uniquely wired. So I think there's also a difference between growing in certain skills and competencies and also recognizing what naturally drains you and saying, you know what? Instead of trying to improve this, which is going to drain me even more, I'm going to utilize the people that I have. Those things might be someone else's working genius, and I am withholding that opportunity for their success by trying to get better at it myself. And there's so much freedom in just acknowledging that. There's so much freedom and joy in handing it over to someone and watching them thrive instead of just trying to do it yourself and just being depleted of all of your energy. So I have 4 questions, reflection questions for you to think about as we close out today. And one is, can you communicate? Could you tell your team what your leadership strengths and weaknesses are? And if you don't want to say weakness, you can say opportunity. But essentially, do you know what they are? And could you communicate them to your team? And have you communicated them to your team? That's more than one question, but let's just pretend that's one question. Question number 2 is, can you communicate the strengths of your individual team members? If someone asked you, tell me what the strengths are of each one of your team members. Here's the list of your people. Tell me what they're good at. Tell me their strengths. Tell me what brings them joy and what they bring to the team. Do you even know? Because you can't equip them with the opportunities for their strengths to be utilized if you don't know what they are. The third is, does your team have gaps? Thinking about your strengths and your team's strengths, are there gaps? Because that's going to be where you probably are most tempted to expand your well-roundedness, is in the places you naturally see team gaps. So just by acknowledging them, maybe it's something you can discuss in a team meeting. Here are our gaps. Or maybe it's something you really think about as you make your next hire. And the last is, are your people on the right seat? When you consider what their unique strengths are, if you're using the working genius model, what their working geniuses are, then you can see if they are in the seat on the bus that is serving our journey, where we're going, the best. And if not, then that's an easy opportunity to move people around so you make sure that you are utilizing everyone's strengths, not just for the success of the team, but for the energizing of the team. When you know that you're using your gifts for the good of a group, you feel valued and you feel the energy that what we do here is valuable. That bus you're sitting on is moving, and nothing feels better than that. So real quick, can you communicate your leadership strengths and weaknesses? Can you identify your team's strengths? Does your team have gaps, and are your team members in the right seat? in the right role? Good questions to consider. So friend, go ahead and just let that weight fall off of you having to be well-rounded and put your focus on building well-rounded teams for their satisfaction, for your satisfaction, and for your organization's success. This has been a fun one. Okay, friends, thanks for being here. You're doing great. Leadership is hard, but you are not alone. I can't wait to talk more next week. Bye, friends.